It's so important these days to be environmentally friendly. So while we're creating our landscape design, we want to keep in mind some rules of thumb to be environmentally friendly. So one of the ones we already talked about was to reduce lawn size. Lawns are great, and a lot of times if you need some run around room, that's just what you're going to need, is a big area of grass. But lawns are high maintenance. They do have to be cut. They do have to be fertilized. All of those things, when you cut your lawn, you're using gas. So it just makes it one of the less and it takes a lot of water. And here in Georgia, we're not as worried about water, but in a lot of areas of the country, water is a big, big deal. So lawns are not really the most efficient thing. So reduce your lawn size. How can you reduce your lawn size? Well, we did talk about you could put down areas of brick or patios, whatever, and also to use ground cover. Clover is a good one, even moss. So if you think outside the box, moss is really soft and spongy, and if you have a good environment for it, you can even use moss. But there's lots of different ground covers to choose from. Number 2, use edible crop plants instead of ornamentals. Now, don't get me wrong. Some crepe myrtles would be absolutely beautiful, and there's no bad plant. But if you're going to put water, again, water is a bigger deal some other places in here. If you're going to put water into this, if you're going to put a big money investment in it, why not try to get some food back out of it, right? So plant edibles instead of ornamentals. We're kind of thinking about efficiency and making things do double duty. Number 3, use native plants. So if we're designing right here for Middle Georgia, don't be using palm trees, because palm trees really just don't grow here. If you want to use palm trees, you would need to be in Florida. If you want to use a lot of cactuses, if you really like that western type of landscape, then you would need to be designing a home out west. So use native plants for a couple of reasons. One, because they're going to be more efficient with the natural resources. In other words, if they grow naturally here, they are going to be adapted to our amount of rainfall. If you're out west, you don't want to plant the same plants we have here. You want something that is adapted to that amount of rainfall and that soil type, so that you don't have to amend the soil a whole bunch and spend a lot of money, a lot of investment amending the soil. So we want to use native plants. The other reason we want to use native plants is because it feeds native species. It feeds native birds, it feeds native insects, it feeds native mammals, things like that. So if we're going to be good stewards of the land and of nature, we want to, and yeah, butterflies. Anyway, if we're going to be good stewards of nature, we want to be good stewards of all nature. So native plants can create food and environment for native species. So there's 3 more rules of thumb that I want you to know, and you don't have to use all of these in your landscape design, but do be thinking about using at least 1 or 2 of them. Number 4, shade trees. Now by now, you should have some good shade trees in mind, so it shouldn't take you too long to decide on some good shade trees to use. So when you use shade trees, it can decrease the electricity you use in your house. Therefore, it makes your house more environmentally friendly. Let's see, I think I've got down here, 10 to 35 degrees. A tree planted in the correct spot can cool your house 10 to 35 degrees. So that makes you use your air conditioner a lot less. Here in Middle Georgia, that's going to be a really important criteria. All right, so where do you want to plant? So hopefully you know your north, south, west, east. Okay, so think about when the sun is the hottest. The sun is the hottest in the afternoon, right? So think about where the sun rises and where the sun sets. So the sun sets towards the west. We know that from our cowboy movies. All right, so you want to plant your trees in the southwest quadrant of your house. So if your house is here, I just really did that backwards. If your house is here, you would want a tree here to shade you from the hottest part of the sun, to shade your house and make it environmentally friendly. All right. And you could have trees. I mean, you don't have to plant just one. There we go. Shade trees all around. Be careful how close you get to your house, because we don't want branches falling. We don't want to hurt your roof, but a shade tree close by will be nice. Attract pollinators. 5. So pollinators are great for the environment. You can attract pollinators by planting flowers, wildflowers, flowers such as zinnia. Zinnia is a really nice flower to attract bees and butterflies, but really almost any kind of flower. So just work on attracting pollinators. You could even have like a bird bath is really nice to help bring in some birds, some wildlife, but pollinators are going to be our main ones we're worried about. Number 6, use your rainwater. Now here in middle Georgia, we don't have to worry too much about drought. Sometimes we have to worry about having too much water. So, so we have to worry about too much water. So what's something we can do when we have too much water? The thing we worry about too much water is erosion. So we worry about the water coming, running down and running fast and just taking soil with it. So if you see that you have a place where you're losing soil, you can actually create what we call a rain garden. And if you go out to Tatnall Square Park ever and you see the little bridge, that's actually by a rain garden. So a rain garden, with a rain garden, you're going to do a couple different things. One, you're going to use lots of big stones to break up the water so it doesn't just run and grab your soil. So use stones and use hydrophilic plants. Plants that love the water and will suck up the water. So hydrophilic plants and stones, and you can even have like a little holding pond. So you could even have like a little koi pond that can take some of that water, and some stones and hydrophilic plants on the other side so that when it overflows, it doesn't just grab your soil and run with it. So that's a rain garden, hydrophilic plants and stones. Another way you can collect water, like in rain barrels, so that you can use the rainwater and not have to use the water out of the ground. So some places in this country, I think it's illegal to collect rainwater, which is crazy, but we don't have that. So collect rainwater in barrels and then you can use it. So one thing that's really nice too is that you can actually, what am I trying to think of? But you can actually use like some fertilizer in your water and use that to water your lawn. I was just thinking about the things you could add to the water as additives to the soil. But at any rate, you get the idea what I'm talking about. So these are a few ways that you can create an environmentally landscape. Keep them in mind while you're doing your landscape. I do want you to read chapter 12 because you're going to get some more ideas and hopefully help you to create a great design. So read chapter 12 and then get started.